Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Adamancipator Yugioh deck profile for November 2023. This is probably one of my favorite rock decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, focusing on being able to check the top cards of your deck and search for a different rock monster to summon out onto the field using our many different Adamancipator tuners that we have, getting additional benefits if you reveal an Adamancipator monster for the summon, but just being able to hit some pretty big monster swarm. I feel like this is a deck that definitely kind of got overlooked compared to some of the other decks we got from the Yu-Gi-Oh mini-series booster packs. We got cards like Eldritch and Rika doing pretty well still, while Adamancipator kind of got left behind with all they can do, Block Dragon getting hit, but still wanted to update the deck with all the changes I made and with more availability for some of the staples since the rarity collection. Let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For our Adamancipator monsters, we're running 3 copies of Adamancipator Researcher. If you control a rock monster except Adamancipator Researcher, you can special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can special summon 1 excavated level 4 lower non-tuner rock monster, place the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. You can only use each effect of Researcher once per turn, so just being able to special summon 1 level 4 lower non-tuner extends your plays, having your Adamancipator tuners be the monsters to search out the many different non-tuner Adamancipator monsters to then be able to summon onto the field and go for additional synchro plays using those tuners. Also running the 3 copies of Adamancipator Analyzer. So with you just needing to control a rock monster to special summon out Researcher, you have a special summon onto the field on top of our non-tuner monsters, not needing the search especially for Researcher. But with Analyzer, if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, so it's great going second against them. And during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 and special summon 1 level 4 lower non-tuner rock monster and place the rest on the bottom of the deck at any more, extending with this tuner as well with a level 4 tuner this time, so we can go for some higher synchro plays as well, depending on what we may reveal off of this card, with our last of the Adamancipator tuners being the 3 copies of Adamancipator Seeker. If you control an Adamancipator monster, except for Seeker, you can special summon this card from your hand. So if you have Researcher on the field, you can then just special summon Seeker out onto the field, and then have both of the searches for these cards having the same to check the top cards of your deck. The only difference is just the restrictions of how to special summon these cards onto the field. You have more like a Cyber Dragon effect with your Analyzer, needing rock monsters for Researcher, and then Seeker for your last one needing an Adamancipator monster. So you can have Researcher on the field, and then just needing a rock monster, which fits for a Researcher to summon out with all the other ones. And then our only other Adamancipator main deck monster we run are the 2 copies of Adamancipator Crystal Dragite. If this card is special summoned by the effect of an Adamancipator card, you can draw 1 card. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 water synchro monster you control, or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck. And if you do, place this card on the top of the deck. You can only use each effect of Crystal once per turn. So you have the options with your water monster being cards like Adamancipator Risen, being able to then set up Dragite back onto the top of the deck. Working for the tuner with Analyzer to go into this synchro monster. It's just one of the better ones, giving you draw power when it's special summoned off of another Adamancipator monster to continue your searches from the deck, giving you more and more monsters to use. Using a lot of rock monsters in the deck, we're also running the 3 copies of Doki Doki. This card can just be summoned off of one of your Adamancipator monsters being a non-tuner, then just needing to discard another rock monster. So if you open up any that are, let's say, just a dead hand and draw, you can discard that card to then special summon another monster that has the same original attribute and level as that monster, giving you more special summon power, especially if you just need more of a resource to go into using this card. Being able to summon it onto the field in face-up attack position, which is what you want to do most of the time to just continue your extra deck plays. And then also the 3 copies of Cathorn, the Hidden Gem of the Seafront. You can discard this card, and you can normal summon 1 earth or water monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. If you control an earth and water monster while this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Cathorn, the Hidden Gem of the Seafront once per turn. So being able to have the earth and water requirements met with this deck, having Dragite and Analyzer, or Seeker and Researcher being earth as well, you can then summon this additional level 2 non-tuner onto the field just to go for more and more plays, but also giving you an additional normal summon just by discarding this card. If you do open up cards like Dragite in your hand, which you need to go for the normal summon, then have that 1 additional normal summon for another rock monster, Dragite can help in that form as well with your Thorn. And then for the other rock monsters, I run 3 copies of Kowakimeru Guardian and 3 copies of Kowakimeru Supplier. Now, what I like is that with your Supplier, if a face-up rock monster you control is sent to the graveyard except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summon, you can add from your deck to your hand 1 Iron Core Kowakimeru or 1 card that specifically lists it, and it's text except for Supplier. You can only use this effect of Supplier once per turn. So with this card, you can special summon Supplier off of your Adamancipator cards, search out cards like Guardian, and then have that summon onto the field, especially with Cathorn being able to then go for the discard cost. If you didn't go for your normal summon already, you have, say you special summoned out the good majority of your researchers and whatnot, then you can just normal summon out the Guardian normally, and then have just a card that can stop a monster effect during each of your turns. One, with this card, you can keep it on the field from being destroyed by revealing a rock monster in your hand, but when a monster effect is activated, quick effect, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and destroy that monster. So just having the tribute play, it can stop cards like Nibiru that your opponent may try to go up against you with, or just any other monster effect. Setting up multiple Guardians on the field definitely does help to go for the overall playstyle of just having a big board to go against your opponent. And Supplier helps to extend that, with the last of our monsters being the hand trap lineup, 3 copies of Nibiru. Now, being a rock deck, Nibiru can also help to be searched with cards like Gallant Granite, just being able to use 2 level 4 monsters to go into this, detach, and then just add the Nibiru into your hand. Makes your opponent have to play around the fact that you search this card, and also the 3 Ash Blossoms and Joy Spring. I would say one of the weaker cards in the deck, just because it can't really be used with much of the engine. Search power-wise, either, it can still, you just got to go for the fact that if you open this up, turn 1, when going up against your opponent, as a better hand trap to stop any of their searches or graveyard setup. And then for the spells, I run 3 copies of Adamancipator Signs. You target a rock monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, then you can special summon an Adamancipator monster by this effect. You can take 1 level 4 lower rock monster in your deck and place it on the top of the deck. This is meant for you to set up Dragite on the top of the deck, to then reveal with 1 of your Adamancipator monsters, to then special summon onto the field, and then gain the additional draw power. 3 of this card, it's also not a once per turn, so the multiple signs you have, the more you can activate in 1 turn also. And then also for the spells, the 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Now, I know this goes against the Dragite draw, but this deck really needs that particular monster setup. So if you can go for the banish of the particular cards you need, revealing the top 3 of your deck, just to get to that 1 extender, it can help with that setup. You may just need that 1 Adamancipator monster to go with 1 of your rock monsters to then have your initial special summon setup, and Prosperity definitely does help with that. Now it's more readily available, making it all the easier to build this deck as well, with the last of the spells being 1 copy of Call by the Grave and 1 Monster Reborn. Just more monster extension, because you can just grab 1 Adamancipator Tuner from the graveyard, and then from there have more search from the top of the deck. And then the only traps we run in the deck are 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just like the other hand traps. Not really searchable, but still very vital with all the plays you can do in this deck to begin with. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. The one synchro I sadly did not have for the deck profile was the Adamancipator Risen Leo Knight, which is the red lion one to run. It is a level 6 monster, so you can go for the Bryonic as a placeholder. Since it is a water monster, it does work well with the Cathorn option as well, needing to control a water monster. But all of these synchros, including Leonite, provide additional search power and also just being able to stop your opponent's cards, especially with our boss monster, Adamancipator Risen Dragite, having the initial stopping of any of their card effects, and when you have that water monster in the graveyard to begin with as well. You have the fire monster met with your Leonite if you were to have it for this spot for Bryonic, in the form of when you can get Ash Blossom into the graveyard also. For our other synchro monsters, the 1 Borreload Savage Dragon with our other Link monsters, the 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Herald of the Arclight, all these just being more of the monster swarm we can easily get onto the field to then have more shutdown, having negates against our opponent, and also the 1 Crystal Wing and the 1 Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend to finish off these synchros. For the Xyz, the 1 copy of Gallant Granite, the 1 copy of Baguska, and the 1 copy of Zeus. Really didn't have much to room for the Sky Crisis card If you wanted to, you can try moving around some of your Link monster numbers if you wanted to try fitting it into the deck. With our Link monsters just being the one copy of Almirage, I like this card in the deck just so you have more of a Link 1 summon option. With if you do have to normal summon one of your Adamancipator cards just to send it off to the graveyard to then Link extend into one of your plays. And this only really comes up if you miss the top 5 search off of one of your lower level Adamancipator monsters and you had to resort to normal summoning them on the field. Also the 1 Cross Sheep, the 1 IP Masquerena, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn to finish off the rest of the extra deck. And as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, as I said before, it all comes down to just what you can reveal. If you have your one monster that you normal summon, let's say you just go for the normal summon of Kawaki Mirror Guardian, then you have this monster on the field not only for its own monster effect negation, you're safe from your Nibiru plays to extend into more of your plays. You can then special summon out your Adamancipator Researcher. Researcher can then check the top 5. If you reveal the needed card, you can then go for that additional special summon onto the field and then just go for more of your synchro plays depending on which one you want to summon out to the field, giving you that particular monster. If you go for an additional monster search, you can also search off cards like Doki Doki from your hand, giving you that additional monster with the Researcher instead of the level 4 play, which in turn you could then go for the discard that has the same attribute as that monster. So if you go for the particular discard, let's say you had the Dragite in your hand, you can then at least get that same special summon onto the field, giving you one additional monster to use with those resources. You can go for the overlay play with your 2 monsters here, going for the Gallic Granite search, or you can even go for the level 4 synchro, Herald of the Arclight. It all comes down to just what you want to set up with the Adamancipator monsters on the field to begin with. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, always love updating this deck for any of the changes that I like to make as the years go on. Maybe we'll see some new support, some new main deck monsters would definitely be cool. Some other non-tuner ones potentially to be able to special summon off of our initial 3 Adamancipator monsters. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.